How's it going?
Great, great.
Man, we are here live in the beautiful Marriott of Troy, Michigan.
Yeah, suburbs of Detroit.
Suburbs of Detroit. I've got Dave Crenshaw with me. Say hello, Dave.
Hello. Hello, guys.
Yeah, Dave's hanging out with me today. We're having a little scotch,
Yep.
a little toast to start every podcast with.
Not a little scotch from what I was told.
So I'm not taking this home with me. A little Balvenie, and we've got a 12-year double wood this time. Pretty good. Do you like it, though?
Smooth. It's like butter.
It's
Yeah,
like-
it's
it's
pretty
like
good.
butter.
I'm not going to lie to you.
It'll go down pretty quick, too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little rough, but it's starting out pretty good. So
usually I say an hour we can record roughly, but you know, whenever this runs dry, I suppose.
So
Yeah.
it might be, one way or the other.
I was gonna say there's a concierge service right on that we have available to us, but the alcohol they charge, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like $9 for a Coors Light. in an abandoned room.
It's almost criminal.
Yeah.
You know, how else are they gonna keep this place going, right?
Yeah. That's they're trying to bring Detroit back from bankruptcy, which I hope they do, because actually I really love this town. So yeah.
Yeah.
But $9 for Coors Light, that is almost criminal.
So Dave's a coworker of mine that I've only known since probably was it August?
Yeah.
Was it August?
Late August.
I
Yeah.
don't remember. Anyway, so and Dave, not to give everything away for him, and I don't know what you want to talk about, but he's from the Milwaukee area, but you've worked some other jobs in the past where you've traveled, right? Have you ever, remind me, because I may have forgotten, have you ever worked or lived directly here in Detroit before?
Never worked directly in Detroit. I've been to Detroit. One of my jobs brought me to Detroit in the past to open a restaurant here. So I've been to Detroit previously.
Yeah.
Literally downtown Detroit. So
What was the restaurant?
it was a chain called Bennigan's, not around too much, but I worked for the company that owned that chain. So so I opened it up in downtown Detroit. One of the funnest restaurants I've opened. Not the funnest, but
One of the funnest.
yeah, one of the funnest.
And the funny thing is that there's actually a Bennigan's in the Quad Cities where I'm from. I feel like it's Rock Island is where it's at. It is. It's in Rock Island, near the district of Rock Island. But you didn't spend any time at that one,
No,
right?
I think I was kind of Googling it, trying to remember when we were talking about it before. I think I might have opened that Bennigan's. Like that's how long it's been. So because I opened several in the Quad, not several, but 3 or 4. Cedar Rapids, which we've talked about.
Right.
We're going to probably talk about.
Yeah.
So by far favorite restaurant I ever opened, Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
In Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Yeah. So, but I did think I don't quote me, not for sure. So if we're checking facts, tell your fact checker not to check that for sure, because I don't know. But I did think I opened that one.
And that's good. You know, the thing is, this is the first one that I've done that isn't at my house too. And Dave's been nice enough to do this with me here at the hotel because we have a work trip up here this week. So I don't have my computer, which we've used in the previous episodes, to be able to look up the fact check, right?
Yeah.
Because I've got this really great software on my computer. It's not photo editing software, but it's a screen capture software.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know if you caught like the previous ones where if we looked it up, I could record that, put it into the video and post, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to fact check after this is done and just go with it. And maybe in the description of the YouTube video or the SoundCloud file, you know, I'll make sure and I'll correct.
Yeah.
If we need to.
If we need to.
Otherwise,
we're just going to make some stuff up as we go.
I was just going to say, we may not do anything and just roll with it at this
All
point.
7 people are going to watch this, because he probably had a lot of viewers before this, but by the time I'm done, 7 people maybe, including my mother. So,
oh, your mother's watching too?
well, hopefully I'm going to call her and say, hey, please watch. So, she'll be like, what's a podcast?
Well, that'd be nice. She'll watch, right?
No.
No. She knows what YouTube is, right?
Yeah, she knows what YouTube is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Just
my mom lives in Washington. You know, that super, medicinals that are legal there.
Yeah.
So that's why she moved there.
Oh, okay. Well, it helps with her glaucoma, right?
Yeah, we'll go with that. And she's a hippie. So,
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
That's cool. So where did you grow up again? Where in the West?
I grew up in Colorado.
That's
So,
right,
yeah,
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yep. And what was the town called?
So I lived I grew up in Denver and then in Steamboat. And Steamboat Springs, which most people heard of, but I actually lived in a little town called Yampa, which was right outside of Steamboat. It was about 30, but nobody's ever heard of Yampa, Colorado. Our main road was a dirt road. So
It was dirt roads.
yeah, so never heard of it.
The only question I have is because the only time I've really spent in Colorado before was in Colorado Springs. Because
Yep.
I had some relatives growing up that lived there. An aunt did.
Yep.
So I remember being there and seeing the beautiful mountain line,
Yep.
you know, the blue and everything in the
Yeah.
mountain line. But
Yeah.
where was that in relation
So
to?
where you're looking at that blue and the beautiful mountains, you go to the deepest, highest part of the snow in that mountains, was pretty close to where I lived. So,
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. When I was a kid, it was kind of funny, but when I was a little kid, we used to have to wake up in the morning, like 2 or 3 in the morning, and shovel snow off the roof so that the roof wouldn't collapse. Because, our house wasn't great. It wasn't not nice, but I was afraid of the roof collapsing, so we used to have to shovel snow. And my stepdad, he wasn't going up there. He's like, that's what I got kids for. So
Right, exactly.
that's how we'd shovel snow off the roof. Because
So I've seen some really cool contraptions or tools in the past online where it's like it's on an extension. They put it up and they like scrape it off or something. But
my dad would want to have to spend more than $7 to buy that tool.
Okay. So what were you using?
That's what he had
then?
kids.
You were using shovels,
rakes, shovels. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Go and get on that ladder, son.
Yeah,
right?
get on that
kind
ladder.
of
You're
attitude.
fine. I'll man you up.
So you grew up in Colorado,
Yeah.
and then and I know you did some time in the service.
Yeah.
Which thank you of course
Yep.
for that. And what years of your life were you in the service?
Well, right after high school. So it was I went in like 89. I graduated in 89. I went in that summer, and then I spent 4 years until 93. So
Till 93.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was in the Desert Shield to Desert Storm, when Desert Shield became Desert Storm. So over in Iraq.
Gotcha.
So,
Which and maybe you said it, I just totally missed it. But which branch were you in again?
I was in the Air Force.
It was Air Force. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what was and did you join the Air Force for any particular reason other than maybe you just liked airplanes or something? Or
Things
jets?
I probably it was an option that was given to me because I wasn't always a great kid. So no, honestly I went on my own, but it was definitely an option. We couldn't afford to go to college and stuff, so
Okay.
I just chose to go.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Growing up, and I may have mentioned this before in another episode, but growing up I loved like fighter jets.
Yeah.
That was my obsession at one point.
Yeah.
Because it was, and when did they really become in service, like those stealth, into the variants?
Yeah, they were in Desert Storm. I mean, it was kind of the beginning of that, like right before, right after. I think it was right at the end of that. That was not really me. So.
But that was the early '90s, right?
Yeah, early '90s. Yeah.
So I would have been fairly young. I would have probably been 6, 7-ish around that
Yep.
time. Was it F-117?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
which is no longer in service, I'm pretty sure. But I grew up like loving that. If it
Yeah.
wasn't like the typical cars on the wall, like the Lambos, and
Yep.
I think Countach, I had a
Yeah.
Countach
Oh, nice.
poster.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
So-
then I also had like where I clip art
Yep.
the little stealth
Oh yeah.
planes and just had like a little.
Oh, what was those models called? Was it the Snap-on model? Was that what you're talking about or no?
I don't even remember for sure, but I just remember that fighter jets, loved them. If it wasn't fast cars,
Yep.
it was fighter jets.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I had a wall in my bedroom, like on the wall. It was same thing. It was like, but what was that? I can't remember the name. It was a model brand that all the kids bought, and you could either get the glue version or the snap version.
For like a collage on the wall.
Yeah, for like you can have them. So I had shelves of all that stuff on the wall, and I had cool cars and trucks and stuff like that. And then,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the only thing I really know about that gets me excited thinking about like the Air Force. I mean, a lot of things about your service and time, and of course, but that was always my thing.
Yeah.
And then I found out that you had to be thin,
Smart.
small, smart.
Yeah.
Thanks, smart ass. Anyway.
No, I'm talking about myself. So, no,
I'm just
if you look at
kidding.
me, I'm not thin, small, or smart. So
I'm just
I really
kidding.
didn't fly in any jets.
I knew you weren't talking about me, but
Yeah.
the eye thing too.
Yeah.
So I have really bad vision. I wear contacts or glasses.
Yeah.
And when I found out you had to be like small, thin, and have like
2020.
20/20,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was the same way. I went in with all these high hopes, and nope, no fighter jet for me.
I mean, you could probably fly a helicopter, but that isn't as fun, right?
Well, I don't know. Guess
Maybe.
not. I don't know. It's kind of bumpy. I've rented a few helicopters, so yeah, it's definitely bumpy.
Yeah.
But it's not a fighter jet. Fighter jets get the girls. So unless there's no fighter pilot around, then you're like, I'm just a pilot. Yeah,
Right.
gets the girls too. So,
Exactly. You don't
back
have
in
to-
the day.
You don't have to say what you're flying, right? Well, they're
Nope.
probably gonna ask.
Then you just make stuff up.
Sure.
There's no fact check, right?
Right. Like
Yeah.
this whole episode.
I
we're
was
just making
totally
shit
a
up.
fighter pilot. No. No.
Except for your mom, so she knows
Yeah.
what she watches.
Yeah, just kidding, Mom. I was not a fighter pilot. So.
All right, so cool. So you did the military for us
Yeah.
for the country, which is great. And then it was that when you jumped into the restaurant business mainly.
Yeah, kind of right after. I lived in Las Vegas for a while because I got discharged at Nellis Air Force Base in Las
yeah.
Vegas. So I stuck around there and, went to UNLV for a little while. So at there, and I stayed there for a while and just kind of got in the restaurant business and never left. So just stuck in. I was in the restaurant business for almost 20 years. So But yeah, so yeah, I went in the restaurant business. Was living in Las Vegas, and my grandfather kind of got sick, so I moved home, and then I caught on with this restaurant company and just worked my way through. I think I started as I want to say a bartender. I think it was like literally right down the road, and I started as a bartender, and then they had these these opportunities you could go and open restaurants, and I was like, well, that sounds fun. Plus, I was living in my grandparents' basement at the time, so I was like, yeah, let's go. So I started traveling around, and then I got into that with that business and traveled around I think I did that for it's like 6 or 7 years. Like I was on the road. So
with Bennigan's in particular.
Yeah, with the company that owned Bennigan. I worked for Bennigan's, and then you went to work for the company that owned Bennigan's. So yeah, but my main focus was I opened a few other restaurants, but 95% of them were Bennigan's because back in that time, I mean that place was hopping. You know.
Oh yeah.
What was that movie they made that was based on Bennigan's? There was that movie.
What's their movie?
Yeah, there was that movie, and it had Ryan Reynolds in it. And it was like a really dirty restaurant movie, but it was based on a Bennigan's. Like you could tell from the outside, it was a Bennigan's.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was. I'll have to fact check it later, but
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the description of the YouTube video.
yeah, it's definitely a rated R movie. So any little kids watching,
Kids, stay away from that.
yeah, stay away from
The
that.
thing is, though, I think my channel is set up so you have to be at least 18.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Just in
so-
case any.
Yeah, because there was some funky stuff going in there.
Right. Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
in case there's swear words on this, and we don't get anybody in
I
trouble
don't-
with their parents. Or
Yeah,
anything.
I don't swear. Shit.
Stay in school,
Yeah.
kids.
Stay in school.
School.
Don't do drugs.
Yep. And don't
Yep.
drink scotch.
Yeah, don't drink scotch. It's expensive and it gets you really drunk. So-
It does. It can pretty quickly.
But I do like your philosophy
Yeah.
that you use it as a weight loss tool. I do like that philosophy of using it as a weight loss tool. What a great justification for drinking scotch. Well, it's not going to make me as fat.
You think it's working?
Yeah, I think you look great.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
It's not really working. So it didn't change how I eat, food on a regular basis. But
No.
at least I'm not.
Think about dinner tonight. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Somebody
What?
had donuts for dessert on dinner tonight. I don't know if I could say that. Just kidding. It
No,
wasn't him.
they were gluten free in case the doctor's listening.
They were.
Not that my doctor.
That's what
watches
that's what
this.
the waiter said. I heard you ask him, and he said they were gluten free. So,
The look on his
they
face
were
when
not.
the look on his face when I asked him too was funny because he probably thought I was serious at first.
Yeah, I think he did. So he wasn't that funny.
he wasn't.
No.
He was pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, food was good though.
Really good. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Not
yeah.
as good as
Yeah,
Bennigan's,
to our new
though.
sponsor, Bonefish Grill.
Yeah.
Great. If you're out there, yeah, send some gift certificates.
But is it as good as Bennigan's though?
No, well, they're still open. So
That one in Rock Island's still open.
yeah, I think there's a couple. I think actually my performance coach actually took me to lunch one day, and he took me to Bennigan's. So
I think I remember you telling me about that
Yeah.
too. Was that in?
it was somewhere in Illinois. I don't know.
Oh,
Where-
okay.
I was still learning at the time. I don't remember. So
How weird would it be if you ended up in that Cedar Rapids or Rock Island one again someday, and you're like, oh yeah, this is for sure the one, even if you couldn't remember, based on how would you look that up if you can't remember?
Rock Island, I no way I could tell you. Cedar Rapids, I did. It was in the shopping mall. So
Okay.
it was the one at Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It was in a shopping mall. So, and it was, I think there was a university close by, but I know it was in the shopping mall. And I'm pretty sure it's probably not there anymore. But
Oh, okay.
I'll never forget Cedar Rapids. It was, I'm telling you, it was the funnest time I ever had. So
Yeah. So let me ask you this then, because I'm really curious, and I think I've seen in the past when I actually watched like not network TV or cable TV probably. Then wasn't there shows on, or was that Bar Rescues? When I'm
that's
thinking
like
of?
one of those. Oh yeah, this wasn't that sort of thing. This was, it was crazy. What we did was, I mean, we were there for, like I was there for about 6 weeks. So the team was there. There was me, like I was kind of the lead on the team. So it was me and like a couple other people. I was the front. There was a back lead, and then I led. Well, when I first started, I was the front, and then I was the overall lead. So there was like a team of 3 or 4, and we were there for about anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, and we hired managers and stuff like that. And then about 3 or 4 weeks in, the team would come in, and there'd be these bartenders and servers and cooks and stuff from other restaurants that were trainers and stuff at other restaurants. Kind of similar to what we did now, but between restaurants, they went back to their own. So it was kind of a rotating crew all the time. And they were there for like 4 weeks, and we literally would go to work. We'd start work, I'd have to say at like 10, 9, 10 in the morning, and we would work till 2, and then we would just drink until 8, 9 in the morning, and then go back to work.
So when you're starting at like 10 in the morning, are you basically setting up the front of the house? Because you said
Yeah.
you're front, right? So
Yeah.
is that front of house like greeter? That's sitting them, and that's
No, I mean when we talk about setting up the front of the house, we would go into the restaurant. We'd put furniture together, set stuff up, stock the bar.
completely.
So when
Oh,
you walk into
wow.
a Bennigan's,
Yeah.
and like the construction people would put all the art on the wall and stuff like that. But we would set the tables up and move stuff around to where it was nice, and and then we'd stock the bar, put all the glassware. So like we did all that stuff for it. And then at some point the staff that we'd help hire the staff, and then we would train the staff. And that stuff went on. I mean, you were literally setting stuff up, tweaking stuff out, training people for 8 weeks straight.
So I was just gonna ask next. So how long were you in the actual restaurant?
Yeah, my team, we were in the restaurant either hiring, setting up, or training for a solid 8 weeks. I mean, it was that, and I think back then it's not the Holiday Inn Express as nice as it is now. It was like the Holiday Inn, which is basically like nothing against the Holiday Inn, but like the Super 8 is now. But the Holiday Inn Express now is so much nicer.
Oh yeah.
It was night and day difference of it. So, so you were literally at the hotel sleeping or you were working. So
Wow.
yeah, but it was fun. I mean, I was young and it was fun.
How many people were on your team again?
You'd have about, depending on the size of the restaurant, 12, maybe a dozen to 18 people. So, and you were there, the first the first few weeks it was 4 or 5. But when the whole crew got there, it was anywhere from 12 to 18 people, depending on the.
So when you were there towards the end, that 8 weeks, is
Yep.
that you're also a part of hiring, right?
Yep.
And then getting the whole crew ready to go and then
Yep.
trained, like
Yeah.
you said, 'cause
Oh,
the
yeah.
trainers come in.
Yep, and then we'd open the restaurant. We'd stay there I think we stayed there usually for a week unless they were struggling, and then we'd stay maybe 2 weeks after they were open to make sure to get them going and make sure everything was going right. And Bennigan's had everybody has their standards and stuff, and make sure everybody's following the standards and stuff like that. So it was fun. It was a good time.
That's pretty cool. Can you think about one thing in particular that was maybe the most memorable, or one of those situations that caught you by surprise? Because I'm sure these venues that you were setting up, were they previous restaurants? Were they fresh builds? Were they?
It was a mix. Like sometimes it was brand new restaurants and stuff would work and not work, and sometimes they were old restaurants. But if it was an old restaurant, they usually gutted it out and made it, because at the time Bennigan's. I mean, if you ever remember walking into a Bennigan's, it's kind of like walking into an Applebee's now.
It is.
Everything
yeah.
looks exactly the same. Like the setup is the same and stuff like that. So you'd be switching out stuff and doing stuff like that. But the stuff that you remember isn't the training and stuff like that. That actually it was grinding work. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the hanging out afterwards, and the people that you met were just, they were all, college age kids, and we were just out of college, so, we're all the same age, and you'd meet them. And that's, when I talk about Cedar Rapids, it's because there was a university, and like most of our staff came from a university, and it might have even just been a community college there.
I think it is.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember
I might
which
have,
one
but
it
the
is.
people were so nice, and it was so fun. It was the funnest group of people that we hung out, and the team that you have, because your team is constantly rotating. It was just the perfect storm of, we meshed with the people that we hired, and we meshed with our team. All the team members meshed, and we had a big celebration at the end of it where we stayed at 2:00 in the morning, and we had closed on Sunday, like appreciation thing. And I think literally every single person that we hired and was there, and all the staff was all there for that thing.
Because they enjoyed it that much.
Oh yeah, it was a
and,
blast.
And
yeah.
that was in the Cedar Rapids.
That was
location.
Cedar Rapids. Yeah.
So if you had a good experience, and I was asking about what do you remember the most, because I think about if you moved into a restaurant that had been a restaurant, maybe they had been a restaurant before that too. Are you
Yeah.
dealing with all kinds of issues that were left
Oh,
behind?
Yeah, yeah. We'd walk into some of these that were maybe a restaurant that got closed down or something like that, and you'd walk in. And the nice thing, we came in a little bit later in the process, but like the construction guys at the cooler work, they didn't care about it. And we walked into this one restaurant. I think it was where was this at? I want to say it was in Wyoming. Don't quote me, but I remember walking in this restaurant, and the freezer was closed, and we're like, oh, whatever. So, and I'm in the front, but like the team's like, we're doing the walk through the restaurant. We're like, man, this freezer's closed, but it's had a padlock on it. We're like, that's kind of weird. It's got a padlock on it. What's this? So we opened it up. Well, the power had been off to this restaurant for whenever it closed. Now it's back on now, but we opened this freezer, and it was full.
The smell, right?
Oh, I think literally there was 4 of us there, and all 4 of us ran for the first trash can or bucket or sink we could find. It was like a stink, like it was horrible.
So who cleans that? Who cleans it up?
We called somebody to come clean it up.
Say like
Usually it's us, but at that point we just shut the door and we called this a cleaning company to come.
I was just saying.
fix
So
it, yeah.
at what point does food decay reach like a biohazard almost limit?
Oh, I'm surprised the door didn't blow up before we got in there. I'm not sure, but it was to this day is the worst thing I've ever smelled in my life. Like I still think about it every once in a while. You get that. Oh yeah.
And I feel like the previous owner was probably being a real Richard. When he left, probably he's like, I'll show
I'm
them.
sure he got kicked out. And
I'll
so
show them. Lock
well, a
that
lot of
up.
times what happens is they get locked out, so that stuff just stays in there. So a lot of
okay,
times
yeah.
the probably just get locked out. Well, there was a lock on it, so nobody even thought about it. And it wasn't at the point where the construction company had to come in and fix it yet. So because we usually do our walkthrough and then they fix stuff that we tell them to fix, and I'm sure probably got overlooked or
They're like, we really don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, let somebody else deal with this.
Honestly, I mean, could that have happened too?
Yeah, could have. Yeah, for sure. So
Lazy
yeah, it could have definitely been a construction company. Let's throw a lock on here. We'll just pretend we forgot about it. So yeah.
Oh, my chair is.
I told you it's these chairs. See, we're gonna go down.
I don't even know what the heck's going on here now. Oh, there, fixed it.
See, sometimes when you're not skinny, your chair shock system is not the best.
So my chair isn't going down, but what happened was the recline feature got undone.
Oh.
So the nice thing is, if you ever come out to my house someday to do the podcast,
Yeah.
you got a little bit nicer chairs you can sit in.
Yeah, but the guy was very joyous about bringing you this chair.
He was, yeah. It was pretty cool. It worked out well that the Marriott,
Our new sponsor.
the Marriott for this episode, yes, they and Marriott. If you can't see the logo, it's on the ice bucket too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, they brought it up and they were really nice about it. But it's just like probably the worst office chair I've ever sat in my life.
Yeah, this one's not. This has got that. I got that sinking feeling.
Quite
It's kind of like I got that loving feeling, but it's sinking.
Quite literally that
Yeah,
sinking.
it's literally that sinking. I have a feeling I'm going to be.
Just
moving.
keep tilting that down. You
Keep
just
tilting that. Use a little side thing. And
just
tilt that down.
adjust
I'm
them?
picking this up pretty quick. I think. I got to remember to be close though, so our level's the same.
No, it's okay. And you can hear it through the headphones, right?
Yeah.
You
Oh
can
yeah.
hear the-
Totally. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And I can take care of the rest in post.
Yeah. So.
All right, so Bennigan's
Yeah.
setting up restaurants
Yeah.
all over the country.
I do have to give a little shout out to Detroit though, since we're in Detroit.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a little story about Detroit?
Please do.
Okay. So you go to restaurants, right? You actually were just saying you're at the Texas
Never been
Roadhouse,
there.
right? Yeah.
Never been there.
No money. We don't have any money to go to that
Exactly.
stuff, yeah.
Restaurants?
So,
yeah. Peanut butter and jelly is what I take with me.
Hey, I
everywhere.
love a little peanut butter and jelly. But didn't you just say you were at the Texas Roadhouse?
Yeah, earlier this week I went with my sister on the way up to Detroit. But yeah, we went to
Yeah.
Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse. I think they have fairly good food. It's a chain. I'm not a big chain guy, but I think their food's good. But the Texas Roadhouse drives me crazy. Nothing against them because this is their niche. Because you notice every time you go there, they sing the birthday song. And once it goes off once, I mean it's done. It's like every 2 minutes after that. That's why I rarely go to Texas Roadhouse because I don't like that. Well, part of the reason I don't like that was I was in the restaurant business. When I left the training and got into management and started managing restaurants and things like that, every restaurant I worked at, I would eliminate the birthday song. I hated it. I hated the birthday song because servers hate to sing it. It embarrasses the person that you're singing it to, which is the point. Usually somebody says, it's half the time it's not their birthday. They're just trying to embarrass their friend or something like that.
Yeah.
And the other customers can't stand it. So, but we always had a trainer. So when I was a trainer, we had, Bennigan's had birthday songs, right? I'm going to give a little shout out to Detroit, though, because it was the one city, downtown Detroit. We opened a restaurant here. And there was two things that I always remember about downtown Detroit. And this is probably my second favorite place. Is one, we actually they use ranch dressing a lot here. And I don't know if that's a big thing, but we actually had to replace the ketchup bottles with ranch dressing bottles because they use it so much here. And this was, probably 15, 20 years ago whenever I was doing this, So, but the other thing was, this was the only town we ever worked at. They loved the birthday song. I mean, they loved it. And I'll tell you, it's like the American Idol of birthday songs or The Voice. When you said somebody had a birthday, we had a little thing that they ring in the back or something, to try to get everybody's attention. Usually in a normal restaurant, you can't find a server for 10 miles, man. You got managers running around trying to pull them in there, yanking them in there and say, I'll fire you if you don't sing the birthday song. Whatever it takes to get somebody to just get, 2 or 3 people to sing this ridiculous song. Downtown Detroit, you said birthday, 30 people would show up to sing this song if you had 10 people working. It's like they'd come in on their day off to sing this. They loved it, and it was always in rhythm. They had dances that went. It was the funnest thing. That's my shot. Motown at its best because it was in tune, it was fun, and they loved it. So it's kind of funny.
I completely relate to what you said about customers being there and like, they're doing it, and you can tell. Like at Texas Roadhouse, it happened. It took when we were there, and took my sister and the family out. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't watching this time because I already know the looks. I already know the looks on their faces.
Yeah.
I can just picture right now. They're trying to act enthused about singing this country twang birthday Texas Roadhouse song,
and people go there just for it. I mean, they're known for
Yeah.
it. So that's why I always use that as an example. Because I honestly get to the point where I can't go there because of the fact that you have some of the best bread in the world, but you got to listen to the birthday song 17 times to eat a piece of bread.
I guess that's is that worth the price of admission? I suppose just to get the bread, the free bread.
Yeah, some people like it. So.
The only story I have to share personally that I've never shared on this is back before I was in the car business. At I think I started when I was 20 in the car business, 21. I feel like it was 20 in car sales. Before that, I worked at a local chain called Happy Joe's Pizza in the Quad Cities, and I know they're expanding out too, more and more in the Midwest. But basically, their thing was just like every other restaurant. It was the birthday thing, but instead of I don't know what is it at Texas Roadhouse? It's like a brownie or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
whatever. So at Happy Joe's, it was always because Happy Joe's was pizza and ice cream. So it was a free sundae they got, and it had the clown face. You had to
oh yeah,
with the whipped cream and the freaking peanut eyes,
and you got 15 tables and there are other customers you're trying to wait on at the time. It's the worst. I hate the birthday song.
It is, but I guess the point I'm trying to get to is that I worked with a good group of guys. One of them will be on this podcast in a few months. Is that basically there was a siren that you ran. So when you reach that point, happy birthday to. Or whatever it was, I can't even remember the jingle now. But there was a switch in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So the job was for whoever happened to be walking around that corner at that moment and heard it to do their thing, right? It was just like a regular light switch.
Yeah.
Well, there was a couple of managers that worked there that were easily perturbed.
Yeah.
So a couple of employees, and I apologize if I'm getting the details wrong, but they would just randomly do it sometimes. Just to piss off the manager.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because it was right there in the kitchen, and it was so when you come off the dining room floor, walk behind the counter, curl around the corner where the switch was, and head to the dish room so you could drop off the dishes. So some of these guys were busting tables and didn't like working out on the floor. Just quick, let it go and just walk.
Just keep on walking.
Because it wasn't like a. It was like
it wasn't like you were sitting there ringing a bell.
No.
You hit a switch and walk away, and it went until somebody hit the switch again.
Exactly. Yeah. So I know what that's like, being annoying, having to hear that all the time. Because that was my first job in high school before I jumped in the car business. So I always remember that with the birthday siren.
Oh, they're the best. I love birthday songs. Don't ever make somebody do that. Never.
It's pretty awful. You hear it a few times, even if you're not singing it or prepping the sundae, which I had to do a few times in my earlier days when I was working at this place.
Yeah.
But then you realize how good you've got it when you're making pizzas instead of making sundaes for people that don't actually have probably a birthday.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So the restaurant industry could be a lot of fun. It can be there can be some headaches too.
Yeah, it definitely can. Deal with a lot of drunk people. So I usually seem to work at, I love the sports bar. I'm a very blue collar guy, so I was always attracted to the sports bar, pizza sports bar, casual restaurants like that.
Which one, for example, are you talking
about?
I
worked at Boston's Pizza. I worked at Old Chicago Pizza.
Oh, yeah, Old Chicago.
Yeah, things like that. So, but, when it comes to pizza and beer, that usually means there's either football or basketball or some kind of sports and guys drinking excessively.
And then getting angry when things don't go their way.
Sometimes employees. So never looking at whenever I can make you a little hint in the restaurant business. If there's ever an employee drinking out of a kid cup, check the cup. So exactly. Not that I ever did. But
of course not.
No.
And
never.
not that I ever.
Never.
We had Lining Kugels at Happy Joe's.
Nice.
Liney's Red.
Yeah.
That was one of two. I think it was Liney's Red was the heavy one, and then I think it was. Who owns Lining Kugels? Do you know off the top of your head?
Lining Kugels is its own brewery, but now it's not owned by Miller. Miller bought them. But they're from Chippewa Falls, where I moved from Eau Claire, which is a little town. So very familiar with Lining Kugels. So
that was Liney's, and there was a lot of employees. They would have the paper cups at night. And the same thing. Check, right?
Yeah. I heard a nasty rumor from when I was working in the restaurant business that if you put Newcastle in a pint glass or a beverage glass with a little ice in it, it looked just like iced tea.
Just like iced tea.
And I'm not saying that's how I got through a lot of Friday nights, but a little birdie told me that one time. So,
Newcastle?
yeah, Newcastle with a little bit of ice in it. And I know it waters it down and some, but, you know, when you're on the clock, you know, I heard a rumor that it looks just like iced tea.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Because otherwise, then you have to drink out of the kid's cup, and it looks like you're drinking iced tea.
Exactly. Because who wants to go back and refill the kids' cup, 20 different times in one night?
It's too small of a cup. They don't make a 22-ounce kids' cup.
They don't. Speaking of kids' cups, it almost feels like sometimes this is too small. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's not the alcoholic in me talking right now.
That's
I want
not.
you to know.
No. So, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good, though.
Yeah, keep drinking. So we're basically going to keep going until, we run out. Or, I don't know.
Hey, I was thinking about something the other day, though. Hey, but we're on the podcast. This is a great podcast. So remember when we first started? And when we first started together, Ed was my trainer. So just so everybody knows. So he trained me, or, I toured with Ed. So I went on a tour with him, and we spent, we'd have to spend a couple hours at a time in between dealership to dealership, because we go to dealerships and train people on product. I'm sure most of your listeners know that. But one of the things that we talked about in the car, you always asked me about what kind of music I listen to. Remember, I could never answer that question.
Right, yeah.
So I was trying to think about for the podcast of how can I explain the favorite, like the kind of music I listen to. And I think it's weird because you're a musician, and I've listened to you play. I've seen you play on Instagram and YouTube a couple times. I've never seen you play live, but I mean, very good. Like, he never gives himself credit, but he's very good. So if you've never heard him play, definitely look him up on YouTube. I think you have your own channel, right? So
that's where this is going to get published too.
Yeah. So it's worth looking into.
This was not a paid sponsorship.
It's not. But you did ask me about my music, and I told you that I have a very eclectic, different. I like all kinds of different music. I'm not a big country guy, but I can listen to it on the radio, and I'm not like heavy rap music, but I like music that makes you feel. But I was thinking about this. So did I ever tell you what my favorite soundtrack was or album was?
You did not. I don't think so.
Yeah. So, but it actually sums up the way I feel about music. So I was thinking about this, and I wish we had a computer so I could play a couple things off of it. But have you ever listened to the soundtrack for the movie Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's very first movie?
I'm familiar with the movie. I just don't know if I've heard the soundtrack. What was one song that was on it?
I'm Stuck in the Middle with You.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of 70s stuff, but the reason I like it, I'm not even a big 70s music fan. I do like the songs on this. They did a very good job. But there was this old comedian that had really curly hair all the time, had a really cool voice.
Was it like Rodney Dangerfield? Or...
No, he had a much smoother voice than that. Very low keyed. Kind of reminded me of Jerry Seinfeld before Jerry Seinfeld. But he was the DJ in the movie. Like, if you ever heard the movie, he was the DJ in the movie. And on the soundtrack, between each song, he would talk. And it was his takes from and it was an old 70s radio station. They talked about going to the monster truck rally on Saturday night and his voice. But the way the music made you feel after he talked, that's the perfect way to sum up. So if you ever get a chance, that's the way, because it made you feel like there was like emotion behind it. You're like, man, it made you feel really good by listening. It was kind of cool to listen to, but it was the perfect commentation. And I give Quentin Tarantino credit. I really like movies, but I was never a Quentin Tarantino fan until I was a little bit older. And I went back and watched his movies, and he really is genius. Whether you like his style, because they have a tendency to be pretty bloody and stuff like that.
Yep.
But his music that goes with his movies is genius. So you think of Pulp Fiction, some of those other movies. Even he just did that Western, was it Crazy 8 or something like that? Or even that, the music in that, I've kind of become a little, not obsessed, but I love to go back and listen because he does so good at pairing songs to his thing. But if you ever want to see my favorite kind of music or why I like music, that's the perfect example because I love that soundtrack.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I had it actually on a cassette. And then I had it on a CD, and then I finally, I think when I moved a couple times, I lost it. But I did download it after we were talking about that because I was like, I really missed that. So
not only will I check it out, but I also post the link too for like the Wikipedia page or something. So if anybody wants to check it out, they can.
Yeah, it'll really show you how Quentin Tarantino and maybe he had somebody he worked with, but I want to say, because I was watching a documentary, that it was him that took the head on the music. Music plays a big part in his movies, especially his earlier movies. it really how he makes the music connect to the characters and things like that. It's really awesome. So
That's cool.
yeah, and it's a good. I mean, it's got I think 12 tracks on it. And stuff,
So that sums up your music taste. You're
yeah.
saying.
Well, it's all about the way it makes you feel. Like
Yeah.
there's even some hip hop songs like today's music and stuff. Like there's a couple Kesha songs, but it's all I'm more of the way the music makes you feel than it is like the genre of music. So I'm never like people are like, oh, I only like this kind of music. I never understood that because I'm like, that's great if that's what you like to play or what you feel comfortable singing or performing with. But everybody makes, I mean, there's all different kinds of good music. So
Yeah, I'm probably more the type that is a little bit more narrow-minded when it comes to music, but I'm not completely cut off to just this one particular genre where I could be like more general about. I like most rock type music or
Yeah.
metal, and then I'm like you, country and that rap. A lot of the raps I can't get into, and I know there's different subcategories about that, so
Yeah.
don't get too upset about how I worded that. But you know what I'm saying?
yeah. Oh, there's some rap I like too. Like I like Eminem, and there's some artists I like, but I some of that stuff just doesn't have a rhythm. I think, and I think music has to have some kind of rhythm or just I just don't connect with it maybe. So
So it doesn't sound so produced to the point where, or maybe not produced, but it's a lot of it. And I don't even want to get into this too deep because I know it's going to piss some people off. But I feel like rap, for instance, is just so basic. It's basically creating a beat that anybody can do at
Yep.
home, right? Well, you know, if you have the right software, and then basically getting a microphone like this, sitting at your desk,
yeah,
and just,
and talking.
I mean, basically a lot of
Yeah.
it is, you know.
Well, which is unfortunate because if you watch some stuff on old rap music, like when it first came
Yeah,
out, it was
right.
groundbreaking. I mean, and it was different though. I mean, it moved you, but it talked about issues and things like that. Now it talks about getting girls at clubs and things like that. So
all the time.
yeah,
You know, the thing is too, gosh, I can't even think about what I was just gonna say. Man, I've already had too much scotch.
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
not too much.
Not
He's
too
losing
much.
weight. Look, that's 3 less. That would have been 4 beers. So yeah,
It would have been 4 beers.
It would have been 4 beers.
Wait, 2 scotches is 4 beers?
Well, I'm thinking calorie wise. You're you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Catch,
So-
you know, yeah. Well, I'm thinking of the health reasons, not the negative stuff. So you know.
Oh,
so-
I just remembered. So what I always wanted to do, I always talked about this jokingly as I was growing up, you know, and I guess especially the last 10, 15 years, I've joked with a few people is that I always wanted to be not the rapper on the album. I wanted to be that featuring guy. I wanted to be the guy in the background that said, yeah, or whatever,
Yeah.
like every other, you know,
Yeah.
phrase,
Yep.
and get complete credit for being on the track.
Yeah.
But only say that phrase a couple of times in the song, you know,
Yeah.
or repeatedly.
Like Flow Rider.
Yeah. So
I think Flow Rider, and like he's got actually a couple. Like he's one of those rappers that he has rhythm, and I like him, you know. But it's like it seems like every rap song or every radio rap. Let's say radio rap song right now is featuring Flow Rider on it. Like,
is that all he does in the
yeah,
background?
I think that's all he does is background stuff, man. So I mean, some of the songs are really good, but it's like, yeah, it's so and so, it's Cyndi Lauper featuring Flow Rider right now. So,
Throwing that in the background, that'd
Yeah.
be great. You know,
Yeah.
if anybody's out there listening and you're looking for talent, I don't have any, but I'm willing to try if you give me
Yeah.
a chance, is what I'm trying to say. All it takes is one chance. That's all
Yeah.
anybody needs, right?
yeah, it is. Hey, it's American Idol season. Maybe you could try out. Are they going to be in Detroit?
I don't even care at this point. Really, I don't.
That's
so
horrible.
I know. So I know it's a great show. The Voice and American Idol.
Hey, Kelly
and
Clarkson, Daughtry.
Daughtry.
My wife loves Daughtry.
It could skyrocket your career.
It could.
Your career.
No. No, unfortunately not. So I have a voice made for TV and a face made for radio, and neither one of them. I'm not very good at either one of them. So no.
So speaking of music talent, did Bennigan's ever have music?
No.
They never did.
No, it was too chainy. So, but I did work at a couple restaurants where we had bands that came in and stuff like that. So I have worked at those kind of bars and stuff like that. It's always fun. It was
Were
always
you
a fun
the one
crowd.
that taught the manager how to deal with that, or did you deal directly with the band? Or
No, usually I had usually when I did that, it was a grassroots thing. So I admit that I'm not fully, I like music, but I wasn't capable. But I always had like a young assistant or a lot of times it was like a server or a cook. A lot of times a cook because they need flexible schedule and stuff that knew people, and I would let them do it. So I'd let them figure out how to pay it and stuff like that. I'd meet the bands and listen to the tapes and stuff before they came in. Back then it was tapes.
Right.
So yeah, before they came in to make sure it was appropriate and stuff. But yeah, so.
The thing is now the bars that do ask for that from me, like they ask for a CD or something.
Yeah.
Because obviously that I'm not original. I just cover other people's music.
Yeah.
You know. And so instead, I'll share like my business card that has a Facebook link, you know, for my music page. But also I just show them the set list because anymore, and I feel like if you catch the right person who recognizes like, oh yeah, I recognize this music, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's a cover band instead of originals.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are still bar owners that ask for that is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. It just really isn't. You know, it's not like you carry around CDs and.
Well, I think nowadays if they wanted to see they could look you up on YouTube.
And that's so that card. It's got, you know, Facebook and YouTube, or I mean, not maybe not YouTube for my acoustic project that I do, but
there's always a link somewhere.
There's always a link. It always leads to somewhere else. Like this is going to end up on like who knows what website about like China in a couple of months or something.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that today. So I'm your third guest, right? Third? Because it's your third month.
This is third. Yep.
Yeah, I saw the first two. Pretty impressive. Even from the first to the second one is nice.
Thank you.
Not that they were bad, but you can always see.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna think about this when you're, you know, Jim Rome, and you know, you got your own show. You know, so the Madison podcast on HBO. So the third guy is, you know, you can look at it two ways. You could be like, the third time was his lucky charm, but I think it was more of that's going to be Mr. Irrelevant, because when they always look back at the greatest shows, the first guy they're going to show it because that was my first podcast. Oh, look what he was back then.
Yeah.
But I'm the third guy, so I'm really Mr. Irrelevant at this point.
I don't think so.
So when you're big and famous, I'll be like, hey, I was on his podcast, and I'll be like, no, Google it. I was on there. Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
You're kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You're online. They can find you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I am online. Yeah.
You can find them. Do you want me to post your social links when this is all done?
Sure. Yeah. So some more of those people that try to sell you stuff will hit my Instagram up because I don't put it on private or whatever.
That's okay. Whatever. Yeah. And the first two guests, and thank you for saying that. It's when I started this, the first guest, I may have told you, Mr. Berensmeyer, he actually helped me. We kind of spent some time setting up the gear, you know, that I had got for this to work out at home, and we were listening to some like first episodes from like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Some of these
he
guys
used to
that I
have
listened
his podcast was a shit show when it first came out. Sorry, kids. It was a shit
awful.
show. And he's phenomenal now.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you know, I watch all these. I listen to some podcasts on the road because we drive a lot, right?
Yep.
And I try to basically watch some YouTube videos or research what they're using for equipment. Thus, you know, what I'm kind of using today, and it's kind of minimalistic for the actual recorder currently, and the headphone amplifier.
It's because this show's on the road.
Man,
you're already taking your show on the road.
I'm on a budget, so I'm hoping for sponsorships from people like him, so that way I can have the money to buy something a little bit nicer. Yeah, you know, these microphones aren't cheap.
Yeah,
I just sell my kidney just to get one of these.
Shure Microphones, our new sponsor. Is that what they're called? Sure.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, Shure Microphones.
Yep.
Yeah. The label's on the back right there.
It is.
So
exactly.
You want me to turn it this way? So
no, that's all right.
Product placement.
I'll put a link in the description. So.
You could get. So we got a guy that we work with was a DJ. So we went out last night. We had a cigar and a drink. It was nice. So
that was nice.
Yeah. We got in really early though. So
really early.
Yeah, really early.
Really early.
So but he was telling. Remember, he said he works on product placement sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him in here and he could just, you know, put that Pepsi can right where it needs to go.
Product placement manager.
Yeah. So he does it. It's kind of, I thought it was kind of interesting. Tells him about the product and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Make sure it's in the right spot to look good.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So he, you know, we talked, not to distract from this session, but I will definitely have him on. Maybe I'll bring that up too, just to give him a hard time. Like, so you're going to, you know, set the Scotch bottle up in the right way here for us?
Yeah. Yeah, we have it off maybe a half inch so it doesn't get the perfect angle on there. He'll make sure it's correct.
Whatever it's going to take to get that sponsorship money.
Yeah.
Broke.
Yeah. Because you can't keep these road shows up on your own.
I can't. So, yeah. You know how much gas I had to spend just to get up to Detroit?
Yeah. Thank gosh. So thank gosh you happen to be doing something else while you were here.
The good thing is, though, that Walmart card you said you can let me borrow, right?
Yeah. It's got $250 limit on it.
That's it?
Well, that's the limit. It's probably. I think I got about $7.50 left, and $7.50 left before you get to the top. But you're more than welcome to it.
Well, what's the interest rate too? Is
It's
it
got to
pretty
be like
reasonable?
the 49% range. Something like that.
Well, the good news is if you have at least $7 and some change on there, that'll at least let me run the card, won't it?
Yeah.
And then if it goes over, it goes over.
Yeah. Then I'll just report it as fraud.
Just do me a
It's fine.
Just send the bill to my house, I promise.
Yeah.
I'll take care
Yeah,
of
I'll
it.
wait for the check. So I'll call Walmart and be like, wait for that check. Just kidding. I have great credit. It's got to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm above 500. That's good, right?
Yeah, you can at least get
I'm halfway to
you can
1,000.
get 2 Dodge Journeys for that kind of credit
Ooh.
score.
Right, cosigner. So just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding, Dodge.
Right.
Probably won't be our sponsor after that crack, but that's okay.
I wouldn't let him anyway.
We don't want no caliber sponsors anyway.
I don't know if I've ever actually said which manufacturer I work for or we
You
work,
don't?
we work for.
I didn't.
Who the client is, right?
Yeah, the client. I just like to refer to him as a client.
Just leave it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah.
But if you know what we drive, you could probably figure it out. So
I don't know if I've ever talked about that or not.
yeah.
Man.
So just a client. It's good though.
Just client is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're they help pay for the Balvenie is what they
Yeah.
help pay for. Thanks.
They
Thanks,
paid for my plane ticket to come to this road show
Right.
today. So,
Thanks. Insert name right
yeah,
here.
insert, yep.
Yeah.
When we
Maybe
get
I'll
famous.
maybe I'll edit that name in right
Yeah,
here.
to the trainer that wants Ed Madison to continue. Let's talk sponsorships.
Right. We're spending too much time on sponsorships. Those are called live reads too, I think. So
Yeah.
listening to the podcast, the
Yeah.
live reads. And I don't need that. In all truth and honesty, I mean, if you want to sponsor bottles of this, I'm okay with that. But other than that, I really don't care. Like I said the other night, if this takes off to where it makes me money or not. If it does, great.
Yeah.
It'll help maybe pay for some future equipment or, if it gets that crazy, I could send the kids to college.
Community.
We talked about this. Community
Even if you get really rich off it, send them to community college. Keep that money for yourself. So,
kids, if you're watching this someday, I
Yeah.
want you to know that I want the best for you. I really do. That's why I
Yeah.
care about your grades.
yeah. And you can go to the best community college on a budget. So
Exactly.
yeah, because Daddy needs a new sports car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I know you didn't go to college, right? Because you
No,
went the Air Force.
I went. Yeah, I did go for a little while. Didn't finish
Oh,
college.
you did go for
yeah,
a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Was it community college?
No, UNLV.
UNLV. So
University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the Running Rebels.
Very cool.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at it.
Was very good.
Yeah, I'm a worker.
Don't feel bad because I'm the same way.
No.
I don't have any college.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'll tell you, there's good and bad. Honestly, when it comes to the college thing, I think kids could go to college, but I think it's just good to go to the military and stuff like that. I think it's all about making your own. I'm not trying to get on a high horse, but it's all about making your choices. Like for me, my wife just graduated college a couple years ago. She went later in life. She's younger than I am, but she later in life, and it helped her get promoted at work and get her where I want to go. So that's awesome for me.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
I accept the choices I make, and I think I've done just fine. So it's if you work hard, you can do whatever you want. So, but kids, go to college. It's pretty smart.
Go to school or
Spend your parents' money.
How about this? This is something I've always felt passionate about too. Is if you don't want to go to college, like I almost jumped into this. I almost tried getting in to electrical union
Yeah,
too.
that's just as good.
And maybe it was okay. I could be wrong. Correction. It could have been the plumbers union or something. It was
Yeah.
one of those. I was really it was out of high school.
Yeah,
So I'm okay with a trade too. For kids, I think that's great as long as
Yeah.
they find something that they want to do that makes them decent money to have a living.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because we're talking about I think if you find a job that you want to do and you're good at it and you're willing to work, that's the key thing.
Willing to work's the big thing.
Yeah.
Think about it. All these kids these days, no offense to my
Everybody gets a
kids,
ribbon.
Or it's here's the hardest part for me is I really wish, and I know my kids will listen to this and watch this at some point, but I really wish that my kids would pick up an instrument and stick with it. The problem is that I've noticed is that unless kids these days, I'll generalize, so I'm not offending directly my kids
Yeah.
particularly, but it seems like if they don't get instant gratification, it's like they don't want to stick with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't think that just is your kids. I think that's the way the world is so much different than. You're younger than I am, but even when I was young, we learned to work for stuff and get stuff. But yeah, we live in a world now where gratification is so easy to find instantaneously. That people expect it.
So I'm talking video games,
Yeah.
for them to be happy, or smartphones, which the kids have at home.
Yeah.
They have those things. Or when they're getting good grades in school, obviously it's not like they just get them, even if
Yep.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So, but I feel like that's what it is. I feel
Yeah.
like if you can't, the thing is, when I grew up and I was that age, I didn't have fast internet.
No.
I didn't have PlayStation 4s, even though I had maybe Super Nintendo or whatever.
I had
it
Atari
was.
2600.
Atari 2600.
Yeah, 2600.
We're gonna get
24. Was it 26? 24, something like that. Something. It was a second. It was a second version, whatever the second one was.
We're gonna get back to the old school games in 1 second because I want to talk about that too. But I didn't have anything like fast, internet or.
Did you even have internet?
It was dial-up.
Oh, I'm older than you. I didn't have internet. Dial-up came when I was later, so I mean.
The time on the computer, which I think back to the old monitors, and I want to say Packard Bell.
Yeah, Hewlett-Packard. Was it?
I feel like Packard Bell.
Oh yeah.
I'll double check and we'll put it in the.
Yeah, I think you're right actually.
Description,
yeah.
but like the big old freaking back monitor here, and then it had the the freaking tower on that thing, or I don't even know if it was a tower. It was like the wide.
Yeah, it sat on the bottom, 2-disc thing right there. You put, it had like 2 little bays on it and stuff.
You know what's crazy too? Well, we didn't have 2 bays. We only had 1.
Yeah.
I wasn't fancy or anything. We lived out in the country. We were.
This
rich.
was at the library. I saw mine.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Man, rich town there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but I remember if I look this up, and I know we don't have the computer to look this up on the fly right now, but I feel like back then that Packard Bell, like the memory or like the hard drive, it was like so small. It was so insignificant. Think about, and we don't. My phone is recording on the road, so unfortunately I can't reference that. But like even your Note 8 that you have, not to give away anything, he's got a Note 8.
Yeah,
big deal here. So not as
good as the Note 7.
I heard the Note 7 was all right.
It's the best phone ever made. So just so you know, if you ever want the best phone in the world, you unfortunately can't buy it unless you live in, I think it's Japan.
Korea.
Korea. Yeah, they
refurbished.
sell it now. Is the Note 7. It was by far the best phone. I kept mine until they literally shut it off. And I was a rebel. I took it on an airplane one time, so I thought I was going to get arrested.
I thought you would too.
Yeah,
man.
Did not.
All right,
so,
maybe next time.
Maybe no, it's gone now. They shut it off. They took it from me.
I know. But I guess what I'm saying is that like our phones, the computing power. Think about how crazy that is. And even to go back further than obviously our computers we had in the 80s, 90s, or 90s. Think about, of course, like computers. That ran whatever it was system-wise for businesses years ago, too.
Oh, yeah.
How big those, networking.
Yep.
I mean,
those things one computer would take up an entire room.
Like a warehouse where you got a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. All that is freaking our hand. High speed. It's almost going to be 5G pretty soon too.
Yep.
They're working on that. I mean, not soon, but
soon.
I don't know.
Right. It's the next step though.
Verizon hit me up for that sponsorship. Anyway, so is 5G eventually? I mean, think about how fast that is. And the expandable memory having. I heard the other day there was some phone, and again we can't look it up on the fly because of the situation here, but I feel like they said the expandable memory was something just absolutely crazy that you could never use. I mean, you'd have to be downloading a lot of PDFs to really fill that up quickly. But I mean, it's
PDFs,
I mean, like over 100 gigs. It's probably way more than that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's getting crazy for storage.
Well, it's funny when we talk about old computers. So I'm a big fan of the Big Bang Theory, the TV show. Like, I love it. I actually watch it literally every night to go to sleep with, and I have every episode saved.
Like background noise? Is that what it is?
Yeah, like background noise.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put it on, and that's it's time to go to sleep. So I just let it run on my DVR. So we saved the entire. But there's a new show called Young Sheldon. It's pretty funny, but it's about
spinoff.
Yeah, it's a spinoff. It's about Sheldon Cooper, who was on the Big Bang Theory. But the other day there was an episode on where he had a floppy disk and he was having a moral dilemma if he should hole punch the other side because you could double the storage. And I was watching that show and I was like, son of a gun. So I used to do that.
You can swear. It's okay.
Yeah, that son of a bitch. I was like, I used to do that. I was like, son of a bitch. I used to do that all the time. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember hole punching floppy disks so we could flip it over and double our memory and play like Pong and we'd write those programs. That's my thing. So that's one thing, not to get off topic, but when you're telling your kids, hey, if your kids love video games, we talk about instant gratification. So, and they love video games and they love technology on your phone. I'm okay with kids doing that today. I'm actually okay with that because it's a different world we live in and stuff like that. But learn to be a programmer or a coder or something like that.
Use that to your advantage.
Yeah, use that to your advantage. So if that's if that's what you love, find a passion or something that works within that. I mean, I love it when I see young kids, and they even teach it. I could have swore I saw it. They were talking about, it might have been a junior high, but I thought it was an elementary school on the news about how they were teaching kids to code. And that is the wave of the future. I
It
mean,
is,
so
if you
I
think
mean, if
about
you
it.
like video games and stuff like that, just take a little bit to find out how that game's made and stuff, and maybe you'll find a passion in something like that.
So my second guest, Mike McCleary, shout out to him. I've talked to him recently about this because he has kids that are kind of close to the same age as my boys too. He's got a couple boys, and
Yeah.
his boys play PlayStation 4, like my kids do, and
Yeah.
they love that. And he brought up a good point. Growing up, him and his brother, he didn't play as much, but his brother played a lot. Getting back to the Atari eventually.
Yeah.
And like he thinks, and I agree with him, the hand-eye coordination you can receive too. So besides being able to take that and go to code next or whatever you're going to do, I think at least to the benefit of the hand-eye coordination side of things,
Yeah.
I really think that's helpful. Maybe,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
for sure. Look at NASCAR racers. So I was watching, I just watch random things when you're on TV. But I was watching a thing where NASCAR, they train these young NASCAR drivers on PlayStation, and I think it was like, what was it, Dick Trickle or something? And like, remember back in the day, what was that movie with Tom Cruise?
I don't know if he's making this shit
No,
up or not.
You can Google it. It was Tom Cruise, Days of Thunder.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, like it was Tom Cruise movie, but they were talking about like jokingly that he learned to race playing a video game. But these young drivers today, they use these video games. A lot of it's virtual reality and stuff like that. I mean, look at for the client that we work for, they were introducing virtual reality for for that
PlayStation 4,
for that training we got coming up.
Using Gran Turismo
yeah,
as the game.
and one of the vehicles that we're training on there, you're going to use virtual reality in the dealerships. So remember, for the client. So that was kind of cool. So I mean, it is where it's going, and there's plenty of passion to find out about that stuff. So I don't know.
Exactly. I guess the bottom line is for the kids side of things, they can take it, they can run with it, make it something better. But what I don't want it to be, getting back to just sticking with something like a musical instrument, is just, it's hard to get them to grasp on. And I'm not just saying it's just my kids, because I know other people talk about it too. Other parents that I've talked to, it's like that. It's that age group. What is it? I can't remember now. If I'm in the upper end of the millennial age bracket, what's below?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember what the
below like an older than you or younger than
younger.
you?
So what's like
I don't even know. I thought millennials that's about as much as far as I can go.
No, it's
I know there's
less
another
than
one.
millennial. There's something in the the next age generation.
It's not having computers driving us crazy.
But think about that too. The kids is like you said, it's good for code, so you can take that and learn code.
Yeah.
But more importantly, that is the future.
Yeah.
Eventually, who knows what's going to happen next? If we got phones currently, they can store that much gigabytes of storage and memory, and
when everything we do is going to be on a computer. Money eventually. It's funny. The restaurant we went to for dinner. Did you notice the check on there?
No, I didn't.
Said, because we were talking about how the service was, it was a little slow and stuff like that.
It was slow.
But one of the things, when I think you might have been washing your hands, but I was looking at the check, and it's kind of funny. If you have the check, it's interesting. But it says, in a hurry, download our app, pay on our app, and you can go right away.
And that makes sense too.
I mean, we literally could have. If our waiter wasn't coming back, we could have downloaded. We had time to download that app, open the app, and pay our bill and leave before our waiter would have come back and taken our credit card.
Bonefish. It's true bonefish.
Yeah.
A little slow tonight, but that's okay.
We still love your restaurant, though.
Good food.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And
lots of local locations.
Thanks to the client for letting us expense that too.
Yeah. Thank you. So we even got dessert.
We did.
Oh.
We were under the limit though for the day.
We were under the limit. It's because we have to put up with the 12th floor breakfast every morning. So
We do. There's no expensing breakfast here.
yeah. So let's change subjects a little bit. We still got time, right? We're okay here.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
So this is your 5 years with your your current role. So I'm going to say one of the benefits about that I've come. So I've always been a grinder. Every job I have, I went from the restaurant business to the car business, and I've never had weekends off. First job I ever had. Now we have weekends off. It's really nice and stuff like that.
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, yeah, weekends, yeah.
Right.
Where do the weekends not start on Saturday and Sunday? Everywhere it's Saturday and Sunday.
Carry on.
I work Monday through Friday religiously.
TGIF, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
anyway, carry on.
Yeah, so one of the things about this is I've never had weekends off, so it's one of the nice things, and I actually get to come home at a regular hour, so I'm not used to that. So that's probably one of my favorite things about this. But we do spend a lot of time on the road, so right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially for you. You've been doing this 5 years, so I'm going to ask you, since we're on the road, we're doing a show on the road right now. What's your favorite thing about being on the road?
That I get to listen to music, and I get to because I sing more lately in my acoustic thing especially, or if I was learning music for my other bands in the past, where I even just to have that memory of when the verse went to the chorus or the chorus went to the solo, That's the nice thing for me. I use that time to basically listen to. It's my secret. It's kind of like my little secret, right?
Yeah.
That a lot of my musician friends know about is that I learn songs really quickly, not just because I'm quick at learning them at home
Yeah.
on the guitar, but also because I can listen to them till I get completely freaking sick of them, but then I know them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when you do that, like, are you talking in the car or at a hotel room or
So
whatever?
it's in the truck.
Yeah, in the truck, right?
And
Yeah.
then if I'm in a hotel room, sometimes I'll bring my guitar with me, depending on where it's at. Like, I brought the podcast gear this time, but traditionally I'd bring a guitar with me too. But usually the guitar in this type of situation, when it's our full team that we're at a meeting for, it'll be
Yeah.
a jam session with everybody down in the lobby. But when I'm by myself, when we're usually working, it's because I'm trying to learn that song. So I guess the advantage to being on the road all the time or a lot, putting miles on in the truck, is listening to music for my
Sure.
hobbies.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, it's hell on my body. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It really is. Even though I'm in a full size pickup truck,
Yeah.
which makes it a lot easier on me.
Sure.
But that's probably the biggest thing for me is that I have that freedom to be able to listen to whatever music I want.
Yeah.
Or if I don't have any new music I'm learning, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts in the past year and a half, which is why this started that we're doing right now. I really can't think of anything else to say right now besides the music,
Yeah.
I guess, just because that takes up a lot of time as
But
well.
that is your passion, though, and
It
that's
is.
one of the nice things about this. What we do is when we were in the car business. I mean, we're still technically in the car business, but when we were working in dealerships, I mean, we didn't have time. You never would be able to do this. So you were telling me about how you have to beg, basically beg for time off, and they'd kind of give you a hard time about and stuff like that. So,
Sometimes they would, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, because you had to, like you're saying, for gigs on Saturday,
yeah,
and Friday.
you were telling me about gigs on Saturday,
Yeah.
or you'd come, on a Friday, you'd come out on Saturday. You're so tired from working, breaking down sets and
Not
you know,
hungover, not hungover.
Well, breaking down sets, so working till 3. It takes, you got to play till bars close, so you can't break that stuff down till 2, 3 in the morning. So, so then I guess my follow up question is, when it comes to like staying in hotels when we're on trips, what's your because I'm new, I'm still picking up these things I like and don't like about staying in hotels. What's the worst thing about it? I know not being with your girlfriend is, and your corgi and your kids maybe sometimes.
Right. And
So
that
that's
order,
number one.
too.
But about actually physically staying in the hotel,
The worst part
yeah.
is being confined.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to save the rest of this for you. I'm
Yeah.
not
Holy cow, you weren't lying about we were going to finish that bottle.
I'm
huh?
not kidding. We're going to keep going, all right?
Yeah,
This could be the
it's fine.
longest podcast yet, but that's okay. So I would say that the worst part about being in a hotel, especially if I'm not practicing guitar, I've got an SNES Classic that I play to on the TV.
Yeah, I'm pretty
sometimes.
jealous about that actually.
Yeah,
I need to do that.
It's over there. But anyway, it's just being in a confined area.
Yeah, it's kind of closed off.
I'm
so.
not. I mean, I'm kind of claustrophobic. I don't want to say it's to the point where I get hyperventilate and anxiety from it completely, but I don't like being in a small space. The nice thing is when we go to like Holiday Inn Express
Yep.
or Holiday Inn, it's in
That should be a sponsor because they have Holiday Inn Express. You have great hotels. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It sounds like a radio commercial or something.
Holiday Inn Express, the great hotel. So,
Yeah.
That is. I'm not, and that's not even a plug. Trying to get Holiday Inn Express. That has become my favorite hotel to stay
Well,
in.
it's terrible that we're in a Marriott right now. It just happens to be where we're at, but
it's because it's so nice. It's out of our price range. Thank you, Marriott.
thanks, Marriott.
Yeah.
Thanks
and
to
the
the client.
client.
But yeah, IHG, Holiday Inn. The nice thing is the rooms that are within the budget, right? The safety of our budget for
Yeah.
what we can spend for hotels. Usually, the ones I end up with are the ones that have a little bit more room. So
Yeah.
like one king, but it also has the
The little sofa.
the little sofa.
Yeah.
So that's where I sit and play the guitar.
Nice.
And I feel more comfortable because I don't feel
Yeah.
like it's.
I don't like
as-
the 2-bed thing. I'm part of it too is because I'm fat and 6'5", so these little beds like
Yeah.
a little rough sometimes.
Right. Yeah. This
But-
is a little bit smaller. No, it's a nice room, by the way.
No, it is nice. I'm just
Not
abnormally large. So.
complaining. How tall are you again? Was it 7'3"?
6'5". Yeah,
Oh,
7'3". Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I need those rooms with the little handles so you can get in and out of the shower. So
And you're not that old, are you?
no,
I thought you were only
no.
60.
Yeah, pretty close. So thanks.
I'm just kidding.
I feel like it now.
I'm just kidding. He's a young man.
Yes.
here.
I'm 47. I'm not
But
scared of my age.
I said the other
Yeah.
day in the Instagram post, he's a great legend I've got with me too, because
Yes.
of everything that he's done. You know, when it's the business for Bennigan's, starting all the restaurants, and of course all your time in the military and
Yeah.
the Air Force, and
Traveled a lot.
Yeah.
Lived all over the world.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And then we never got to finish this up, but I wanted to talk about this too. Atari 2600.
Yeah, I think right. That's the second generation, right? I had the second. Wasn't it 800, 1600, 3200?
So
Maybe
we'll-
it was 1600.
We'll look it up later, and I'll put it in the description of the links, that way everybody can look
Yeah.
if they wanted to. I gotta remember all this, but anyway, I feel like it may have been color. Were they all the same, black with red button? And
Mine was, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Atari back then you couldn't get the all like now you can get the Star Wars or the Destiny or whatever video games out with it. You can get those. I think back then it was the Atari, big cartridge that you stuck in there.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah.
Blow it out. Oh, this game's not working. Blow it out. It's fine. It would
Yeah.
be fine. Blow some dust out of it and it would be fine. So-
Absolutely. So like, it would be for me. It would have been. So I had Intellivision, and
Oh, yeah.
I
Yep.
don't know if you remember that
Yeah.
or not. I still have the Intellivision,
I bet
including
that's
like,
worth a pretty penny.
and including like 50 games.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's in the closet with all the other old systems that I've had in like containers and things.
you're so
like that.
smart. I throw that stuff out, man. I sold it to my buddy for probably way too, So yeah,
The thing is with me is because we talked about my boys earlier, and that I think it's good for like that Mike McCleary said for like
hand-eye coordination.
hand-eye coordination, but also because I used to I still play video games too,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Well, I was gonna say, one of the things about kids these days is dads do like playing video games. Most dads do. I mean, so it is something where you can connect with your kids. If you're not a sports guy or a music guy or something like that, at least you have that platform where you can, especially you, because I mean, you always talk about classic games, and kids like the modern games, but it is pretty fun to bust out an old system and play, some of the classic games and stuff like that. Even when it comes to like, what was that? Dig Dug. Remember Dig
Oh,
Dug?
yeah, Dig Dug, yeah,
Donkey Kong, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
Cubert. So yeah, I had Cubert. I remember that.
So, and I know besides on like Atari, which I'm sure it was Cubert, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, and I have to double check, but like Nintendo NES, the original Nintendo had that as well, or a variant.
Yeah.
And even crazier. So, and I remember, you ever play arcade games?
Yeah.
I
I used to play all the time. I used to do the comb. Did you ever do the comb? The arcade game, you would take a comb. Not the old pick comb, but like a regular, like you still get them today, like the regular comb, and you would set them on the arcade game in the arcade, and you'd put it in between your fingers so you could push both
You were
buttons.
cheating?
It wasn't cheating. it was utilizing the tools that I had at the time.
Don't bullshit me.
It was cheating. It was totally cheating. Fuck, I cheated all the time, especially on like the track. I think it was like Olympic track and field. And you had to run. And you'd use the comb, and you'd push the button so fast. So you would always, yeah.
You clever son of a
I
bitch.
loved. I actually lived. We lived on 84th Street in Colorado. It was one of the houses we lived on when I was a kid. We moved a lot when I was a kid, unfortunately. So maybe that's why I think that's why I like to travel though. But we lived right behind a shopping mall, and we didn't have a lot of money. But the guy at the mall knew that we didn't have a lot of money, so I would go to the mall and he'd let me watch all the. He was the manager of the movie theater. And he would let me watch all the movies for free. But across from the movie theater, they had an arcade. So I would take my movie money because he knew that I loved playing video games. And he would just let me, I'd go spend in the arcade. And then he would let me watch movies all the time. So I think that's why I even love movies today, because I would watch them for free all the time.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
it was a six theater movie theater, which was a lot back in the day. Now there's like 30 when you walk in there. And I would watch all six, and he didn't care what it was. And I was like a little kid. Like I would watch, Halloween or, or whatever it was. And he would let me watch all of them, just go from movie theater to movie theater. And then I would clean up for him, like at the end of the day. And I was like 9 years old, 10 years old, at the time. And I would clean up for him at the end of the day. And
That's a good trade-off.
yeah,
though.
it was a really good trade.
I mean, go play some games after that, right?
Yeah, and then I'd spend all my movie money. Like I'd say my allowance, I'd tell my mom I was going to the movies, and then I'd spend all that money in the arcade. So yeah, I did play arcade games.
Money well spent.
That was a very long, short story.
Well,
so.
the thing is, and not to date you, but so the arcade games you would have been playing, are we talking like Pac-Man? Don't give me Asteroids, like Zaxxon,
Yeah.
or gosh, would have been so now.
Oh
fill
yeah,
me in the rest of the way.
and there was Galaga. I
Galaga,
used to love
yes.
Galaga. And what was that game? I used to love this game. It had a dial on it. It was a very basic game, but it was really hot when it came out. And you just you'd spin around. It was just a dial, and you would spin around the outside. It was a black and white game. I can't remember what this game was, but and it was one of my favorite games. And they would shoot it was like a different graphic on there, and the whole goal was to not get hit by the little white things. I mean, it was that would shoot up at you, and it was a spin down. And I was awesome at that game. I was at the high score.
It sounds familiar, but I can't picture.
Yeah.
Again, that's something we could look up and then share later too. But
we really need Google.
we really do.
I love Google.
It's my fault. I should have brought my cameras that I usually bring, so we're using my phone, like I said
It's
earlier.
way funner. It's a lot of stuff to do in post, so it'll keep you busy. So on Saturday, because you got to do your office stuff on Friday, so on Saturday you can do this all in post.
You're right. So home office days are on Friday. I do a lot of work on Fridays.
Yeah.
Past 5 o'clock sometimes. So I need to make sure.
Past,
I need to make sure that I'll do that on Saturday. So I'll publish this on Saturday, which today, it is the 14th. We were talking about this last night. Is that I'm cheating? I'm looking at my watch instead of my phone. But
Which would be a great sponsor, and I would come back for every show if I could get on that deal. We were just talking about that watch at dinner time.
Yeah, smartwatches.
Yeah.
But God, what was I just saying then?
You're going to post this on Saturday.
Yeah.
Today is Wednesday, the 14th.
That's what I was looking at. The 14th.
Yeah, it is the 14th.
I feel like it's good to post it as soon as I can, because I think I was talking to you and DJ about this the other day, is because if something crazy happened, I feel like it's good just to get it posted. That way, I know some people probably record and then they schedule it, or they record a bunch, like some of the greats that I listen to and I get inspiration from. They probably record like 2 or 3 in one day. Yeah, like one after another.
Kind of like those talk shows. Someone told me that talk shows they record the entire week in like one day.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, I know like on those late night shows, because I lived in California, and they used to have you could tour down and go on like a late night talk show, and they record those late night talk shows at like 11 o'clock in the morning. They don't actually, you're like, oh, it's live on, I don't know, Conan O'Brien or whoever it is. But those shows are recorded like at 11 o'clock in the morning. So that's probably the same thing for these. They record them early, stack them up. But
it just seems dark in the place. So it makes it seem like it's at night, right?
Yeah. So I knew those guys didn't stay up that late at night. Ridiculous. Way too famous for that. Tom Cruise ain't jumping on no couch at 11 o'clock at night.
No, he's drinking. He's out drinking and having a good time. Well, probably not because of Scientology, and I don't want to go there because of religion and politics.
No, they do have their own channel coming out.
Who does?
I saw that on the news. I was watching the news. Scientology has
you shitting me?
Their own TV channel coming out. I don't really care either way, but I just thought it was kind of interesting.
I do care, but I don't want to talk about religion and politics on this
because I don't care. So, and I'm the worst person to talk about religion and politics too, because I literally don't care.
Right.
I mean, I have my opinion, but I also believe that your opinion is just as valid as my opinion, even if it was completely opposite. So
I agree. Unless it comes to music, then I'm right and you're wrong.
Probably.
I'm joking.
I'll give you that.
I'm joking.
I'll actually probably give you that. So
I'm totally kidding.
So.
Everybody has their own right to music. Just
I
like
love
they
Debbie
do everything
Gibson.
Else.
I stand proud. Was that you that was talking about Debbie Gibson the other day?
Hell no, it wasn't.
That's why I brought that up, because someone was talking about how somebody loved Debbie Gibson. I was like, oh, that's horrible. I'm just kidding.
That's okay.
I'm really not a Debbie Gibson fan.
If you are, I'm not going to judge you. Well, not to your face at least. So
no,
I'm just kidding. You can like whatever you like.
Yep.
Hey, earlier we were God, what was it? We're talking about Will Smith and his musical career with one of our coworkers who happened to be saying, what did he say? The phrase?
What was it?
He says
get jiggy with it. Yeah, because he was like, oh yeah, I can get jiggy with it. Oh, was it jiggy with it? No.
Yeah. Was that it?
Yeah, because he was talking about Fresh Prince.
And does he honestly even know? I couldn't.
He knew it was Fresh Prince. Like he knew.
But
not jiggy. What is it?
Is that what it was?
I thought it was. Yeah, because he was talking about a Fresh Prince song. Maybe it wasn't jiggy with it.
Well, that'd be
yeah. I'm sure that's what it was.
He thinks of that artist Will Smith as
Fresh Prince. Yeah, he directly referred to Will Smith as Fresh Prince, and he 100% was feeling that his name was Fresh Prince, even though it was Will Smith, the star of Bad Boys 1, 2, and I think a new one's coming out.
and right,
yeah.
Of course, because I'm in that age
Hitch.
group. No, not even Hitch for me.
Wow. No, Will Smith.
Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah.
You see it? Wild Wild West, and then it was, I did watch that one movie where it was the Apocalypse or something like that. and it was him and his dog or something like that. I feel
Oh
like I
yeah,
watched
I remember that
that
movie.
was a good movie, I thought.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it was called now.
Yeah, what was that? And it was a vampire. No. that was
Oh, Men in Black.
Men in Black. Yeah. That's not that movie. Is that the movie you were thinking of?
No, but I'm just thinking that's
Oh,
another
Men in
movie,
Black.
right?
Yeah.
But what's that one where it was the
I know what you're talking. Are you talking about the one where he was the vampires? There was no. There
So
was,
yeah, so maybe they weren't zombies, but they were like vampires or something.
Yeah.
They came out at night or something. Is that
Yeah.
what it was?
Yeah. What was that movie? I remember that. And he at the end of the movie, not to ruin it for you, but he dies. So, and if you haven't watched it, it's your own fault because the movie's like fucking 10 years old. So.
Probably more than that by
Yeah.
now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was that other movie where he was a superhero too?
Hancock.
And I never watched that. I never did, but I want to. I just never
Yeah,
watched
it's
it.
very interesting because not only is he a superhero, but he's like a pissed off superhero. And I think it has Charlize Theron in it. So it was his girlfriend / bad guy. If you ever want to see a fairly attractive bad guy, watch Hancock.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's our EMPP pick of the week
Yeah.
for movies.
Yeah, Hancock.
Gets the Dave Crenshaw seal of approval.
Yeah, it's actually a shitty ass movie, but there's some good scenes in it. So yeah. Are there people that you watch when it comes to? Are you a movie guy or no?
So I have been a movie guy on and off. It seems like lately I haven't been watching as many because the problem is Netflix. The problem is Amazon Prime. The problem is HBO now. So you basically, like with me and my girlfriend at home, what we'll do is after the boys go to bed, or even sometimes when
Netflix and chill.
Subtract the chill part, especially when the kids are around. But what I'm trying to say is there's so many good shows out there that are on Netflix, obviously.
Yeah.
And in the comments below, make sure and leave your favorite Netflix show. See what I did? That's the first time I've done that before.
Nice. Yeah, in the
Was that
comments.
smooth? Look at that. So, we just watch shows instead of not binge watch completely, but we would watch episode after episode instead of, which is funny because if you watch 3 episodes of a show in one night, that's longer than what it is to watch a movie. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But you take more out of it because here's the thing, and you maybe you feel the same way, maybe you don't. Because I know you do like TV shows because you said you watched what's the spinoff called again of
Young Sheldon.
Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Big Bang Theory.
Maybe you can agree with this. It's so much easier sometimes, and I guess it would relate here instead of a movie. With a movie, you don't have enough time to build
character, emotions,
right?
And relationships,
relatable, or you don't have enough time to really where it builds to the point where you're like, I'm really vested in this.
Yeah.
Where some of these shows they're so well done anymore. I feel like you can get sucked into those.
Oh, my wife. This Is Us on it. It's NBC. NBC, a great television network, home of The Voice. My wife watches that. This Is Us, and I mean, she cries every week. Like on that show, she's so vested in it. But yeah, and I'm right there with you when it comes to Netflix and Amazon. I don't do HBO now too much because the HBO show I really like is Game of Thrones, but
there's so much more on there.
I know
good.
there is, and I watch some other shows, but I've never honestly. Maybe it's because I never wanted to pay for the Prime HBO channels and stuff. But when it comes to Netflix and Amazon Prime, there's some really good quality TV programs on there, and it doesn't matter what your genre is. Like Sneaky Pete on Amazon Prime. I just got into that show.
So we haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah,
What's
it just came out with the second season, and that's the only reason because I kept seeing the ad for the second season. So I happened to randomly watch 1 or 2 episodes of the first season. I was like, oh, this is really good. So I thought it's really good. It's about a guy who convinces a family that he's like their long lost son, and it's got Giovanni Rybinski or something. I don't,
maybe
him.
If I saw him, I'd
yeah,
know,
you would
right?
definitely know when we saw him. So, but yeah, and there's definitely some Netflix shows, and I'm kind of when I was a kid, I used to love comic books, so I love Netflix and some of their Marvel stuff. Like their Marvel shows, Daredevil, The Punisher, all that stuff there. So the Defenders and all that stuff. So yeah, I definitely get the Netflix thing. So it takes it. They've spent a lot of money, invest a lot of money making quality shows. So.
Sounds like they're not gonna stop either.
No,
because
that's the future of TV. I think
it really does. It seems like they're winning more and more. And I don't watch the Academy Awards or was it Emmys, right, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
but
I don't watch that stuff.
You see like news articles in my feed of Google News that they're winning, right?
Yeah,
they're doing well, which makes sense. There's some really good shows that we've seen, originals on both Amazon Prime and originals, not from NBC or not from another, that were added. But I feel like the last one we watched on Amazon Prime was Goliath, and that was with Billy Bob Thornton. He was like a bad lawyer kind of guy, And then on Netflix, the last original one we watched on Netflix. I'm trying to remember what the last one was. There's so many we watch on
Yeah.
Netflix. You know what I'm saying?
My first favorite show on Netflix was that Orange is the New Black. That was a great show.
Are you still watching that?
No, maybe it's just me. I lose sometimes the show ends, waits a season or two too long to end.
I'm gonna tell you this: where are you at right now? Which season?
I just didn't watch last season. I don't think the last season.
The one that just came out recently?
Yeah.
Skip it. So we tried to get through it.
Yeah.
We couldn't even get halfway through it.
That's the previous season. I had to fight to get to the end of it. I was like, it was a great concept when it first came out, and then that is the problem with some of these shows. So
it's losing steam. But the thing is, though, think about it. They probably made so much money from new subscribers just on that show alone.
Yeah.
Oh, House of Cards is good.
Oh,
even though that's been a kind of a weird thing lately with.
That's gonna be interesting though, because Robin Wright, is it still Robin Wright?
Yeah.
Penn? No, just Robin Wright now, right?
Yeah.
She's no longer a Penn anymore, I don't think. So she used to be Robin Wright Penn because she was married to Sean Penn for a while. But
I think
she's back down to Robin Wright. But yeah, she's a great actress. It'll be interesting to see if she can hold that show because of all the women empowerment that's going on right now. I hope she does great because she's a phenomenal actress.
Well, with what happened with what's his name too, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
With that whole, and now
if you did all that stuff, you get I hope you get everything you deserve.
He's not even in the last season now. They
that's what I mean. That's why I hope she does.
Oh, okay,
I hope Robin Wright can carry that show because she's great.
I was thinking for as Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Oh yeah,
she was Jenny.
Yeah, she was
legit Jenny.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about. Yeah, that was one of her first things that you remember her being in. Yeah. So,
I don't know. I don't know what else she would have been in before that.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Crazy. Yeah, but I like that. The Netflix thing is, I'm right there with you when it comes to that stuff there.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, it is. And even for the kids, we were talking about my boys earlier. I don't want to talk too much about the kids on the podcast, but nobody was watching when we had DirecTV for years and we were paying for HBO on top because, in order to get HBO, you got to get.
Yeah.
And then you have to step up, right, to get the HBO. So when we switched, nobody noticed because nobody was watching cable or DirecTV. Everybody was watching Netflix anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like
I actually know exactly what you're saying because just last month I dropped HBO and my bill dropped by like $50.
So when we dropped DirecTV and HBO and we switched, it was just Netflix, Amazon Prime, which I always had for the shipping anyway, and then the HBO now, which is $15 a month. We're saving so much money compared to spending for DirecTV and then spending for HBO.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the TV is just as good.
And you don't have a freaking dish on top of your roof.
Yeah, that is true. It's kind of nice. So I do wish the only thing I wish they had is it drives me crazy because you can't get CBS on any of the things. You have to pay for CBS.
Oh, on Netflix you're saying? Yeah.
On any of them. Like CBS is not on any. On Hulu you can get some old CBS shows, but like if you want to get a lot of
any of those shows.
Yeah, like on Hulu you can get current seasons and stuff, but CBS wants you to pay for their own. That's my only anti-cut the cord thing is a lot of shows on CBS that we watch, and they want you to pay $9.99 a month to watch CBS. And I can go online and watch ABC, NBC, Fox, CW, WKRZ in Cincinnati, whatever it is, for free, and I gotta pay $9.99 to watch CBS. So,
which is funny because if you do you have an antenna in your house?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's free, obviously. That doesn't cost you anything, right? Just to bring that in. Is that an HD one, too?
Yeah, and the reason it started that is because we had cut the cord before I moved here. So, when I was living in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, we cut the cord. But I found out everything I watched was on CBS, but I lived in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and CBS came out of La Crosse. Well, it was so far away, it was the one channel I could not get on my antenna. So now I'm bitter. So now I pay $70 a month for DirecTV so I can watch CBS. Yeah.
The local channels,
and
right?
football, yeah.
That's just it too, and that's the thing with me is I don't do anything with sports. I can care less, and that's fine. I guess make fun of me if you want. I don't do anything with sports. I do music. I do video games for pastimes, which works out good too because my girlfriend could care less, about any of that. The sports is what I'm saying. I mean, we care about the kids' sports. I'm not trying to defend anything. I guess
you're just not into professional sports. Watch on TV
because we don't watch those.
Yeah,
the cutting the cord thing, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, for you guys, it's perfect.
Because we weren't watching local channels anyway.
Yep.
So why the hell have it?
Yeah, I agree with you. So
save the money.
If I wasn't such a sports fan, I probably would cut the cord. That's my problem. I actually pay for DirecTV because being from Colorado, I'm a huge Denver Bronco fan. So I actually pay all that money to watch them lose.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, all the time. So it was a bad year, but that's okay.
So when I used to be in sports, not to keep going with sports, but So there was one point in my life that I really did care about sports, and this is in another lifetime, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
But for me though, and this was probably back in when I was younger, mid 90s, maybe late 90s, 2000 area, it was 49ers. So
My wife's favorite team.
yeah, well, and so I was even so much back in the day, and again, it was that time frame where I was into it, where it was Jerry Rice, even
Yeah.
Terrell Owens,
My wife too. Yeah, same thing.
and then
yeah.
Steve Young, not
Yeah.
Joe Montana, but I was later. I was a Steve Young.
Yeah, you're the
guy.
next generation.
Yeah, but I
Which
loved
was
it
still
though.
it was just as good as the previous generation.
Incredible. I remember watching all that thinking, and I can't even remember how I got on the 49ers instead of, because obviously in where I grew up in a small Illinois town that was right on the river by Iowa,
Yeah.
it's not like you have any. You have Chicago Bears and you have, it would have been St. Louis Rams at the time, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I mean-
the Rams. Yeah. St. Louis.
And then, or Green Bay.
Yeah.
There's nothing in between really, so you end up, so I ended up finding this other team, the 49ers, just because I found it was fun to watch. The funny thing is the same thing happened to me for basketball too. So after football was done for me, I found myself watching Phoenix Suns basketball in the 2000s.
Were they good in the 2000s?
So they never won anything, or 2000s. Yeah, it'd be 2000s maybe. It was just the 2000s. So Steve Nash was.
Oh
the
yeah,
point guard
back
at
in
the
the
time.
day. Yeah.
Amari Stoudemire was the young
Yep.
center, who was
Yep.
awesome.
Fun to watch, but never.
Fast paced, and
Yeah.
it was the coach Mike D'Antoni. I remember his style was kind of like run and gun, so it was always
Yeah.
like quick.
They're
right?
kind of like the Golden State Warriors. They just didn't win championships. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
they would always get to it was always them and the Dallas Mavericks
Yeah.
at the end of the season before the Mavericks won and went
Yeah, I
off
remember.
to
Yeah,
the finals. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. I can't get into it though. I don't know why. The last time I watched a basketball game, and even I guess to be fair, in the 90s, it was
Yeah.
the Bulls, of course.
yeah.
So how could I forget about the
Yep.
trio, especially
Oh, yeah.
with Rodman, Pippen,
Yeah.
and Jordan.
Everybody liked them. It didn't matter where you lived. You liked them.
But basketball then faded out.
Or you hated them. Yeah.
When Jordan retired, it's like basketball faded out because
Yeah.
there's nothing exciting to watch until
Yeah.
I caught on to the Phoenix Suns again for a little bit, and then I gave up on that.
Yep.
But I just today I can't get into it, and I don't find time for it, and that's the hard thing. So
Yeah.
I don't judge anybody for liking sports.
No, I'm with you. It's funny because I used to like all sports. So I watched, NASCAR. I'm talking NASCAR. I watched NASCAR, basketball, baseball. I actually grew up a Brewers fan. It's kind of funny. I grew up a Brewers fan before I ever even thought I was going to live in Wisconsin. 20 years ago, 12 years ago, because I've been in Wisconsin 10 years now. 12 years ago, I never would have pictured living in Wisconsin. And I love Wisconsin. Thanks, department.
I don't live there, but I like it too.
Yeah. So I never thought, but I was a Brewers fan because they had a farm team in Denver. Like the Denver Zephyrs was the Brewers farm team for a while. So I became a Brewers fan. But I used to watch all the sports, Brewers basketball. I was a big Bulls fan, back in the day. So same thing, because you jump on that team. And we had the Nuggets, and they were never very good. Kind of whatever.
Who was that big Denver Nuggets player back then?
Was it? I don't know. I honestly never liked them. I was never a big Nuggets fan. I was
Okay.
always a Bulls fan.
Sure.
But every sport has gone away except for football. Like now, I still watch NASCAR if it's on TV, for something to do, just for some background noise and stuff like that. But if it's not football, I really don't watch it. And what's funny is, I think it's all the money they get paid. And the basketball, it was very simple. I went to a Portland Trailblazers game. So I was working in Portland, and we went to a Trailblazers game, and I saw the game live, and I was like, these guys, for making all this money, are lazy. They don't really care about winning. They didn't really care. And from that moment on, I didn't watch basketball anymore.
Yeah.
And then and baseball, I just didn't like watching on TV, but I still love going to baseball games. It's something you got to watch live, but I'm not a statistician, and it's become a statistician's sport. You got to love stats, and it's all about cybermetrics and things like that. And when it comes to sports, that's not my thing. I like guys that just go out and beat each other up and catch a ball, apparently. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny that it goes away after a while. So we just get older, and but I do love the Broncos still.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows I love the Broncos.
Right. They're a hockey team, right?
Yeah. So yeah, out of Wyoming. So
Wyoming.
yeah.
So the Brewers, when you brought up the Brewers, was it their spring training in Colorado? Is that what you were getting?
No,
at?
it was a farm team. So
What does
like
that mean?
like
I
a
don't even
like a
know.
AAA team. So
okay.
So they had a AAA team there.
So
They might have been a double A team, but yeah. So their team, that if they weren't ready to go to the Brewers, they would play.
So who was? So when I was into baseball, and I skipped over baseball, but I was a Cubs fan actually. So Ryan Sandberg, Andre Dawson years, and Mark Grace on the Cubs. Who was on the Brewers back then?
I don't remember anymore.
I was just curious.
I honestly
if you
wasn't
knew,
that
like,
big of a fan. So I mean, I was a big fan.
That's what I'm
but
referring
yeah.
to. Back then, who was
Yeah.
that? I was curious if you remembered who was like.
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember.
Somebody's
anymore.
probably yelling at this right now. Saying,
Yeah,
it's
you
this
guys
guy.
are idiots. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
but no, I don't remember. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember anymore.
I'm just curious if you knew or not.
Yeah, no, I can tell you all the stats on Steve Atwater, Randy Gradishar, Lyle Zato. So I
Sure.
can tell you those guys, but
Yeah.
no, I was more of a cat. I love to watch it and stuff like that, and I think some of it too is it was me and my grandfather used to live there and just watch
Something
the games
like
and stuff like that. So just think more of it hanging out and watching them and stuff like that. So
My grandfather took me to my first Major League Baseball game, which was at Wrigley Field.
nice.
Which
Well,
would
that's
have
how
been-
you start. That's how you start out a game.
The
Yeah.
funny
So-
thing was, if I remember correctly, it was right before a strike that happened too, and I don't remember which strike it would have been. It would have been in like the early '90s or something
Yeah.
like that. But it was back when Mark Grace and all those guys were on the
Sure.
team too, and they I remember that very well. That's the only Major League Baseball game I've been to. I don't think I've ever been. I don't think I've ever been. Never been to a. I don't think I've ever been to a National Football League game. I've never been to a. I don't think I've been to a NBA game before.
Really.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I was. What's funny is football live. I used to go all the time when I was a kid.
You did go?
Yeah, all the time.
Denver
So,
Broncos.
Denver
obviously.
Broncos. Yeah.
Yep.
So, like basketball, I told you I went to that Portland Trailblazers game,
Mhm.
and then I didn't like it anymore. And what's funny is one sport I never did like was never really into was hockey. And then we had the Colorado Rockies was the old hockey team. It's now their baseball team, but that was the name of their old hockey team.
Sure.
And I went to a live hockey game, and I'd never really been into hockey. And I became obsessed with it after that. Just to see those guys that big and that strong on a pair of skates going that fast and controlling, a little 3-inch puck was amazing. And so I followed the hockey. And I actually was in Detroit. Shout out to Detroit because we're here. And I came to Detroit and watched the Avalanche play Detroit in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I was really into hockey, and we actually me and my buddy came on a road trip to Detroit. They were playing back and forth for the Stanley Cup, and we watched all the games in Colorado, and then we came out here for one of the games too to watch the game out here.
That's so cool.
And
you
we won the
followed it,
Stanley
though.
Cup, and we actually won the Stanley Cup.
What year was
there.
that? Do you remember?
No, I'm horrible with dates.
What like range?
I think it was like, what is that? It was in the 2000s. I don't know.
2000s?
I don't remember. Who knows?
That's pretty cool though. that you
If it's
went and
outside the
checked it out.
Broncos, I don't remember dates.
You were good. You were a big fan then.
Yeah, it was. I was. Yeah, I'm still a pretty big fan. So
So even though I don't watch hockey or we don't watch hockey
Yeah.
on TV, we do actually. There's a local. I don't know what's like. It's not college, but it's not professional.
yeah, a semi-pro team.
There's one in the Quad
There's a
Cities,
lot of them. Yeah. Milwaukee has one too, so they're pretty cool. So.
Probably
yeah.
against each other. I'm
Oh, I
assuming
bet.
in
I'd
the
be.
same
I'd be
conference.
willing to bet it's the same thing.
But
yeah.
we go see them. I think in the past 5 years, maybe seeing them once or twice.
Those
Take
guys
the
love to
family
fight.
too. It's awesome. Yeah. So we've seen that.
Yeah, like it's more. Yeah, you go to a lot of those games you go to, and you're like, oh, a fight broke out, and you're like, oh, and then they played hockey. So I was like, oh,
It's like you're getting your sports. It's like you're getting your hockey and your like
UFC,
boxing in or something.
MMA at the same time.
Yeah.
It's all fair until somebody hits the ice. I did finally figure it out that they let them fight until somebody hits the ice
Is
or
that
somebody
how it goes?
bleeds. Yeah, it took me a while, but if somebody bleeds or somebody hits the ice is when they have a tendency. That's usually when they break it up.
That's
so
when they end
yeah.
it.
So I was like, oh, okay.
If
so,
I was that ref, I'd be like, yeah, let him go.
yeah, stupid enough to hit each other. So, but yeah, that's crazy. That's funny.
Yeah. So other than that though, sports not really big for me.
Yeah.
For me personally.
Yeah.
But I like watching the kids play their sports. That's about it.
Yeah, that's always fun. Watch them get into something like that. So.
Other than that, this is my sport, podcasting.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
here, with Dave
Yep.
Crenshaw.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It has been fun. You know what? It's been a while now. I think not a while. Gosh, we've been doing this for it's probably been like an hour and a half.
I don't know.
This
yeah,
is going to be
you know
the
what's funny?
longest one ever.
Yeah,
so far.
it's funny. You're gonna have to cut some of this out, but I'm probably for time, or all 7 of your viewers will have really nothing else to do.
I just want you to know it's 6 now because we lost your mom.
Yeah,
She's not going to watch it
she's
now.
not. So I swore one too many times. So,
Sinner. Anyway, so this is the 3rd episode. This is the longest one so far. We're looking at an hour and a half, but it's been fun on the road with Mr. Crenshaw.
Yeah.
left-handed.
Yeah, left-handed.
He's a
Yeah.
southpaw, so
I
I
am.
gotta respect that.
Yeah.
And thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
it was my pleasure.
We
It was-
didn't,
we didn't quite make it, but he's gonna finish it off right now.
pouring in his glass. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's not all gonna
All
fit.
right, so I'll take a little bit more of this. Balvenie, if you're watching, which I know you're not, but if you are though, I'll tag you in the picture on Instagram. Thanks for the quality
yeah.
single malt.
I honestly I've never had this before, and it was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal smooth drink, and yeah, it's gonna be a long morning.
We've got Dave Crenshaw approved not only on the Balvenie. What was the other? The recommendation of the week earlier?
Oh, Hancock.
Hancock.
Yeah,
Go,
the
you
movie.
know,
Yeah.
rent
Thanks
it.
to Bonefish Grill for providing the food for tonight. So
The donuts, the dessert was
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah,
It really was.
yeah.
Not to
So-
keep going with the dessert, but they had like little chocolate and caramel.
An infuser, they called it. You were just squirting it on the top. I think you were actually supposed to put it inside there and squeeze it in, but you were just putting it on top like a sauce. And poor Ed, they didn't give him a fork, so he's got like a half a chopstick trying to whip up the whipped cream. It was pretty funny to watch. And he's like, "Oh, excuse me, I gotta go run to the restroom," which was code for he had whipped cream all over his hands. He had to go wash his hands, but it was like a little kid. It was funny. It's like watching little kids watch sports. Just the joy of watching Ed eat those donuts.
I have no regrets.
Yeah, you should. It was fun.
No regrets. Until next time, thanks for hanging out here with us. Again, Ed Madison Podcast
Yeah.
Project with Dave Crenshaw.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, come on the show again.
Anytime. Well, I heard you're all booked up, but any other time.
I'm
so.
actually booked up through the end of the year,
Yeah.
which is cool. But, next year when we have the meeting in Detroit again,
Yeah.
or if you're in the area,
Bring me for your anniversary show.
anniversary show.
Yeah, remember that guy? Yeah. He was way back on show number 3.
Yeah.
So,
What was his name?
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah.
Krenman.
yeah, he works at McDonald's now. Forget. Nothing wrong with working at McDonald's, matter of fact.
There's not. There is pride
No.
in sweeping the floor.
Yeah. I worked at McDonald's for
Gotta-
literally 1 hour.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Was
I'll
that
save it for another show.
Was
but-
that floor clean?
No, I was a cash register, and I told an old lady to shut the fuck up, and I left. So,
Well, on that note, I think we're done.
Yeah.
See you next time. If you can do me a favor,
yeah, that's me hit the store.
we're gonna close
record
off
button.
the
Someone's a lady down by the riverside. Who knows if this woman still has pride? You can see her down by that little shack. This woman was a good-looking lady at one time. Who knows if time will catch up to you? But I know you can outrun all time. Time takes its toll, and she knows, yeah, she knows. We're all growing old, so it's old gringo. Sitting by a park in my home on wheels, yeah. I'm just thinking and I'm playing guitar. Look out there, come see all the children playing, yeah. Swinging and I'm falling from that old seesaw. But someday they'll be singing their own songs. Young women and young men going right and wrong. Not knowing time will catch up to them. Like all generations time will catch them again. Gray and gold, gray and gold, gray and gold. Like old generations, this time we'll get them again. Gray and gold.